Sige, magandang hapon sa lahat na nandito ngayon. This is our final week of the MWF Online Sports Forum. Ang bilis lang, no? For those of you who may be asking, ito po, Online Sports Forum, this is our final week. Starting this Monday with Coach Rudiger of Germany. He will be speaking about best practices of German athletics program. On Wednesday, we have an Italian basketball coach, Coach Christian Narciso, to speak about his experience in Denmark as a youth basketball coach. He will speak about the cognitive approach on youth development. It will be on May 13 at 3 p.m. All throughout this week, it's 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And finally, our last speaker, our 21st speaker, will be Coach Owen Southgate, an English football coach currently based in Sweden, and he will speak about instilling lifelong values throughout sports. Sa mga nagtatanong, ano tong ginagawa namin, alam nyo naman, nung nagsimula yung quarantine, it really created so much limitations for all of us, but then we discovered that with that limitation also came with opportunities online, and it was easier to connect people, and that's the essence of this gathering, to stay connected. In fact, that's the theme of this forum, building bridges through sports. Naway sa 2 oras na to at baka lumampas ng konti, let's take the opportunity to get to know new people in our field or in other fields, in other sports. And let's take this time also to learn and make sure to add knowledge to our information bank. As I move forward, gusto ko lang pong hingin ulit na itong instruction, add a letter before your name. Put a letter C if you're a coach, put a letter A if you're an athlete, S if you're a sports leader, and then N if you're a non-sports individual. You can edit your name. Check lang po dyan sa tablet nyo or sa laptop or sa cellphone. You can click a small icon there and you will see your name, and you can click rename. Pwede nyo nang ma-edit. I'll just make it fast. Pinakamahalaga rito, pen and paper. Make sure you have a pen and paper. Sulat ng lahat na pwede nyong malaman. Pag may idea kayong makita, bago yata yon, maganda yata yon, isulat nyo. And then, place your mic to mute setting. Make sure that when you are listening, i-mute nyo lang yung inyong mga microphone para mas madali. Also, when we do the breakout rooms later, in a few minutes we'll do the breakout rooms, make sure that you connect. You don't only share, you also listen. You get to know sino yung mga makakasama nyo. In a few minutes, we will do 2 breakout rooms to give you a feel of how it is. Paano tayo magkakaroon ng breakout rooms. And then next, share. Mahalaga mag-share mamaya, especially in that longer breakout room. Later on, we'll have a 10 to 15 breakout rooms after the part 1 of Coach Rudiger, and then it would be an opportunity for us to share more of ourselves. And last, meron ng mga nagtatype, may mga nabasa na ako, type in our chat box, QRTR. So kung mapapansin natin, meron tayong chat box. Gagamitin ko na ngayon. Oops, sandali lang. Meeting, alright. type. QRTR. Dapat may makita kayo dyan ngayon. Very good. From Josh, may nakita ko, letter N. Okay? So make sure mag-type kayo dyan. Kung may mga realizations, may mga tanong, please do type them there. Again, our program would have these parts. We have 2 parts talk, 15 minutes each. And then we have 2 reactors today. And then there will be breakout rooms. And this is something that I always love doing. Breakout rooms where you get to meet other people by random, and then you get to share your thoughts. May mga questions kaming ipa-flash. And then Q&A with speaker later. And then our class picture. Of course, hindi namin magagawa ang breakout rooms kung wala itong mga online facilitators. And papasalamat ako kay galing ito, all-star cast po ito. I would like to say thank you again to from Luzon, si Coach Belay Belay Fernando of Philippine Football Federation, head of women's football, Coach Azli, head coach of AYAC Juniors from the NCAA, Coach Oliver Almadro, our champion UAAP coach volleyball, And then Coach Sandy Arispaco Chaga later on, nahabol siya. Currently, he is the head coach of our national youth basketball team. In Visayas, we are joined by Mr. Rico Navarro of the Cebu Schools Athletic Foundation Incorporated and currently the sports director of Ateneo de Cebu. In Mindanao, I am joined by Will, Tolitz, and Mary, itong nasa gitna, all from Ateneo de Davao. And the bottom left, it's Gian of Ateneo de Zamboanga. She is currently an incoming third-year college student. Later on, makakasama natin ang dalawang reactors na ang puso at isip nasa athletics, nasa track and field, nasa running. Si Airnel Abarra, founder and meet manager ng Mindanao Blue Knights Track League or MBKTL, na kasalukuyang nasa Hungary pursuing his PhD in sports and social sciences. And of course, one of the leaders that I truly admire and respect, not only in Mindanao but in the Philippines, Coach Sac Sabellano, performance coach of the Run Out of Poverty, or ROOP. And later on, papakilala rin natin to, ito, the man of the hour, the person that is responsible why we are all here. Coach Rudiger Harksen will speak about best practices in the German athletics program. So siya po, I've talked to him last week, and then in the few minutes that we've talked via Zoom, ang dami ko na agad natutunan, lalo na sa kultura ng club-based athletics. And kahit po hindi kayo nasa athletics, makinig lang kayo sa kanyang wisdom, sa kanyang knowledge, and relate it to your sport, you can definitely do so much. So we will now go into our breakout rooms. Our first breakout rooms, magpapakilala tayo. Sorry, nalagay ko pa rito, good morning. So, but it is good morning in Germany right now. Good afternoon. All right, it's good afternoon today. Magpakilala ka. I am from. Anong ibig sabihin niyan? Kung asan ka ngayon sa Pilipinas, nasa Luzon, nasa Visayas, nasa Mindanao, nasa Manila ka ba, nasa Cebu, nasa kung saan. And then pakilala rin, anong grupo nyo? Ano ang kinabibilangan nyo? And then, what do you expect to learn today? Sabihin nyo sa mga groupmates nyo, kahit hindi nyo pa sila kilala, ano ang nais nyong matutunan? And lastly, ito, very important ito. Nakapanood na ba kayo ng track and field event live or on TV? Ano ba yung napanood na kung nasanay kayo sa DepEd at sa mga city meet lang, baka nasanay kayo na hindi track oval talaga tinatakbuhan, baka yung pag nadapa ang isang bata, delikadong masugatan or ma-injured for life. So, ikwento nyo yan ng konti. Meron kayong 5 minutes dyan. At ito rin, i-describe nyo yung energy na nakita nyo sa isang track and field event. Mamaya, si Coach Airnel at si Coach Tax, kikwentuhan nila kayo yung mga nakikita nilang magaganda sa loob at sa labas ng Pilipinas. At of course, si Coach Rudiger will give us his main thoughts about athletics later on. Okay? So, are you ready na po ba for the breakout rooms? Thumbs up if you're ready. Thumbs up? All right. Sandali lang. I'm just gonna make sure that we are all, I'm gonna recreate. All right, recreate all rooms. All right, you have 5 minutes po to do the sharing. And after nito, the online facilitators, I will ask some of you to share what you have picked up. Oops, marami pang humahabol. I'm just gonna bring them later to you guys. Options, 5 minutes and 60 seconds. All right. Again, thumbs up, everyone. Thumbs up, ready to go. So again, thumbs up if nakapagsalita kayo. All right. As of the moment, we have 77 and now entering 78. I'm gonna ask a few of our facilitators. Let's start with one of the youngest facilitators, Rico Navarro of Cebu. Ayan, gusto kong pangitain si Rico.
Yan ang gusto ko, the youngest.
The youngest.
Yes. Now we had a mixed group. Maganda to. We have UM Tagum,
Wow.
Lasal, and Mandaluyong or PNU. And
Alright.
with various experiences. Ang pinaka-okay dito is 2 of them are former athletes and actual coaches also, and one is an official who officiated in the last Southeast Asian Games.
Perfect.
The best feeling, ang pinaka-common denominator among what they said was yung adrenaline rush of an event, of the track and field event. Yan ang number 1 that stands out in a track and field event.
Adrenaline rush. Now, you know,
Yes.
to be honest, I wasn't so much into athletics before I transferred to Ateneo de Davao in 2013, but being exposed to it through one of our speakers, through Coach Airnel, talagang minahal ko siya. Talagang sabi ko, I'm just so happy that we have it here in Ateneo de Davao. Rico, maraming salamat. Coach Oliver Almadro, UAAP champion coach and a regular facilitator in this forum. Coach O, sino mga naging kasama mo dyan?
Well, sa akin, most of the nandito problema lang si Jose Mosca, wala siyang mic and wala siyang video, but it's okay. I have with me Miss Maria Mortola and Karin Mandin. They are not really into athletics, but sometimes they are asked to play or to coach or to teach, but so they really want something input na pag in athletics kasi naman marami ngayon in a company, in a school, you really have to teach right away or to play biglaan. So they really want to something here to learn from the coaches here and athletes, especially in athletics. So they are from Davao and Caraga.
Wow. So talagang, at of course, sabi nga, may mga nagpaminsan, may nagme-message sa akin na, Coach, pwede po bang ilagay mo kami sa group ni Coach O para makilala na? So sana walang mag-message na sa akin ngayon kasi tumatawa si Joanne Hinosolango, parang gusto niyang makasama sa grupo mo. I-message mo ako, Joanne, at mamaya isusot
ko lang,
kita.
sharing is learning.
Yes. Again, narinig natin, sabi nga, ito, binibiro ko to lagi. Alam ko na kapag baguhan ng isang DepEd teacher sa isang lugar, sabi niya, paano mo, Coach, malalaman kapag siya ang coach ng athletics team nila kapag city meet? Kasi yan yata yung iniiwasan. Kasi laging mainit, talagang pahirapan ang pag-practice, wala kang mapapraktisan. But I'm happy that slowly nakikita ko yung pagbabagong binibigay sa athletics. And I hope that with efforts like this, those who love athletics, we will really bring athletics up there and then make it as popular as the ball sports. And I'm very grateful. From one seasoned coach, let's go to another seasoned coach. From one volleyball UAAP coach, pupunta ako sa isang UAAP basketball coach and former national team. At feeling ko alam niya nang siyang tatawagin ko. Nag-unmute na siya. Coach Heidi Ong.
Hi, magandang hapon.
Magandang hapon.
My group is well represented. We have from Luzon, Coach Joseph C., who is a CSB coach and PSC consultant as well. Si Coach Jerome from Davao, a coach from futsal and football, and si Sir Crescencio from Cebu naman. So Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao kami, kompleto kami.
Wow.
I think they really wanted to learn because our speaker is from Germany. They will learn a lot. They're very excited. Same, yung feeling nila every time they watch an athletics event, just like me. It's very exciting, especially on the relay and the sprinting, yung 100-meter dash. So, ayan, we're very excited for this forum. Thank you, Coach Nolly.
Thank you very much. One of my personal favorites sa isang athletic event is, I don't know, pero hindi ko nakikitang ginagawa sa lahat, pero yung pag nagmamarch ang athletes, yung sa umpisa, magmamarch sila lahat. And I so love it. And again, nagpapasalamat ako sa mga exposure na binibigay sa akin na nung isa sa ating mga reactors ngayon, no, yung talagang ginawa niya dito sa Davao, yung nakikita niya ginagawa sa Europa. Kasi every year for the past 4 years, pupunta siya sa Czech Republic, sa Germany. And when he would come back to Davao City, talagang pinapakita niya sa amin yung mga ginagawa doon. And I'm just so happy that I hope that after this forum, kung asan man tayo sa Pilipinas, magagawa natin yung konting pagbabago. I'm also happy that I have a familiar name na nakita kong pumasok, Sharon Madarimot ng Oroquieta City. Sa Oroquieta City, malapit yan sa akin. And Sharon, thank you very much for coming. So coaches, I also see that we have an Olympian and track and field coach in attendance right now, Stax. Pumasok siya. Tony Benson, 1972 Munich, it's in Munich, no? 1972 Munich Olympics. In 1972, he was one of the top 5 distance runners in the world. In 1992, when the dream team in Barcelona was being talked about, Coach Tony Benson was the head coach of the Australian national team. And Coach Tony Benson is joining us today. And so much power there. Coach Rudiger of Germany and Coach Tony Benson here with Australia. We're so blessed that we are having this forum today. The athletics god must be smiling today. to be able to have this. So now, guys, thumbs up if you're ready to be for another breakout. All right. This time, enjoy and learn. Press breakout room.
Feeling ko parang reporter kami sa TV. Parang, back to you. Dahil ka lang. Ang nakausap ko po sa aking small group ay si Coach Lindo of Nueva Vizcaya.
Aba, talented yan.
Si Coach Cesar of Lipa City, and then Coach Ronald, or mga referee pala to, Coach Ronald of Parañaque City. So they want to learn yung mga innovation and strategies. Yung mga kasama ko po, yung mga official ng track and field all around daw sila So hindi
that's true.
Masyado makafocus. So, pero they have a grasp of all the other functions, and they but they really want to focus on track and field and to learn more about the sport. So obviously naka-experience na sila ng live ng track and field meet kasi official nga sila.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maraming salamat, field reporter Belay Fernando. Grabe, very talented tong ating mga facilitators. And again, if you do not know it, Belay is really one of the most talented Filipina to ever play football for our country, and we're so happy that she has spent many of her MWF being with us and helping facilitate the discussion. Maraming salamat, Belay. From Luzon, I'll go to Mindanao, ask another talented young lady, the youngest in kung football si Belay, ito naman ang Michael Jordan ng Zamboanga City sa women's basketball. Nag-celebrate pa lang ng kanyang 21st birthday kahapon. Gian De La Cruz, ano ang handa mo kahapon?
Cake, spaghetti, coach.
Simple lang. Basic.
Simple lang.
Ikaw na pinadalahan ng greetings ng mga national coaches.
Opo. Head coaches at syempre mga talented na tao sa larangan ng sports. So, going back for our breakout room, syempre, I'm glad to meet new people. I was with Sir Ivan Wezan, a sports director.
From Davao, from
yes.
11.
Yes, Coach Samuel Alcos, a swimming coach. Si
11.
Ma'am Jeanette Obiena, isa sa mga nakapanood ng live na track and field na event at sa SEA Games, and
wow.
I was amazed. I'm with her in that breakout, and si Coach, si Sir John Michael Niegas. Syempre lahat po gusto nilang to have a wider knowledge about athletics and ano yung positive practices nila, and mostly anong mangyayari sa mga example students na athletics, kung saan sila napupunta in the future. Kasi somewhat sabi nga ni Coach Sam Alcos, hindi lahat nabibigyan ng opportunity. So paano nila na progress yun at nabibigyan ng pagkakataon ng mga athletics to proceed doon sa sports nila. So yan po, Coach.
Thank you, Gian. And our final, I'll ask for our last chair, at least for the first round, one of our guest facilitators today. And there's a request here. Please speak English so that Coach Rudiger can also understand more, especially the expectation. Oops, natakot na siya. Hinawakan na yung ilong. Baka mag-nosebleed ka, Koy. So talagang sinadya kung ikaw ang tawagin. Koy Canarias, young sports leader here now. Koy, in English, please. Ano yung mga natutunan mo sa grupo mo? Nag-nosebleed ka, Koy. Meron yatang dugo dyan sa nose.
To speak in English.
All right.
I'll try my best. So, on those two breakout sessions that I had, I met few people. Most of them are coming from Luzon and Mindanao. So basically, on my second breakout, I had Coach Britt of MPBL basketball of Zamboanga. So he's currently based in Zamboanga, and basically what he's expecting for this session is that he's gonna learn more on how to incorporate athletics into his sports, basketball. So the same way with our the second person in our group, which is Miss Ima, psychologist. She's also trying to integrate athletics on psychology, on dealing with the students. So on our sharing also, both of them already saw an event in athletics, and really that feeling of a 0.2 difference between the winner, the second place, and the third place based on the ranking is, I think that's bringing the adrenaline rush on on the viewers. And then there's a question that we're having here. What will be the what are the best things or that they are giving their athletes there in Germany that they could actually apply here in the Philippines, especially on the preparation part?
Best practices. Don't worry. Pasok na pasok yan. Airnel, please take note of that because definitely that's one of the questions we should be asking later. So again, let's give a silent round of applause to all the online facilitators who shared their thoughts on. Okay. So now we are going to proceed to. All right. Again, our top topic this afternoon is about best. Sandali lang. I'm gonna mute ko lang po. Again, i-remind ko lahat. Please put. All right. Now you're in mute. Again, the man of the hour is Coach Rudiger Harksen, a seasoned German athletics coach who has really done so much contribution to the field of athletics in Germany. To introduce him this afternoon so that we will appreciate more the seasoned individual who will speak to us for the next 30 minutes and then ask and then answer important questions. I would like to ask the person who brought him to our group, one of our reactors this afternoon, Professor Airnel Abarra of Budapest, Hungary. Airnel? Nakamute ka?
Thank you, Coach Noli. Yes, I would like to introduce our speaker this morning, Coach Rudiger Harksen. Okay. So, Coach Rudiger Harksen, I met him way back in 2016 in Mannheim, Germany, during our visit there. Of course, his credentials are as follows. He completed degree on sport and German philology at the University of Heidelberg, and currently he holds a license level A at the German Track and Field Federation and completed his second state examination in the following years. His professional career includes currently a full-time coach of the Athletic Federation or the German Track and Field Association and national coach of the said federation in hurdle and sprint for females up to the present. Currently, he is also the head coach on the national team of Germany in track and field. Some of his achievements are as follows. He coached Miss Nicole Leitch's 1984 LA Olympics and Claudia Sakiewicz in bronze medal in 1988 Seoul Olympics, and also coached the relay team of the German national team for World Championship and also in the 2017 Bahamas World Relay Championships where they were champions, defeating United States, Jamaica during that time. And his further activities, currently he is the lecturer of the German Track and Field Association at all trainer levels, including diploma coach training, head of competitive athletics at the top club MTG Mannheim in Mannheim, Germany, and of course with more than 40 years of experience in athletics and management. So that's all, Coach Noli. Again, I would like to introduce to you Mr. Rudiger Harksen.
Let's give Coach Rudiger a silent round of applause, everyone.
Okay.
Coach Rudiger, it's your turn.
Hi. Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. From Germany to the Philippines, I hope you have better weather conditions than we do have in Germany right now. It's raining, it's cold, and so because we do not have that much time that morning, let me start. Let me come to the point to speak about track and field best practices in Germany. Maybe Airnel can give me a slide where I can. Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. Thank you. Can everybody see this slide?
Yes, Rudiger.
Okay, okay. So, dear colleagues, I'm speaking about the individual sport. Track and field is individual, and many of you, sorry, as I got now the information, are club or team coaches. And but I think there are some rules, there are some common things that combine all the sports under the special view. How important is a coach? How important is the working as a coach? We all are coaches, and it doesn't depend what system you have. Do you have a club system, or as we do have in the United States, or as I heard in your country, the college system? Well, I think the most important of all is the individual personality as a coach that you have, that you work. Well, but let me speak about the system in Germany. Well, we do have 7,000 clubs and 20 regional associations spread all over the Republic of Germany, and one big federal association, the German DLV associations. So club development in Germany starts with children at the age of about 5 to 7, and many of them are coached by volunteer coaches at this age. Club work is the heart and the basic fundamental work of any track and field development, and the clubs are working autonomous. The clubs get their money by membership fees, and some bigger clubs with good organizations, they are able to acquire some sponsorships, and only a few clubs can employ full-time coaches for working with those young children starting the track and field. And in the recent years, we can state a progressive graph of new members in our clubs with young children and with pupils and youth athletes. Well, there is one thing I think we can state, let me say, all over the world, we can state that there is, compared to earlier times, a general lack of movement in our society, a kind of sedentary, owed to the digital modern times with computers, iPad, handies, or Netflix. So the movement, the sports, the youth, and the children is, compared to earlier times, is a little bit reduced. So when children start and come in our clubs, we intend a long-term training process. We don't want them to come and go next year. We intend a long-term training process. But when they are getting older, when the children are getting older, some of them stay, some of them leave us because many inexperienced coaches want to have very early success with these athletes. They train hard, not according to the biological and the training age. The result is overtraining or losing motivation. And the youth athletes stop track and field and begin fun sports or something like this. That's a development we see in the recent years. But there's a question that many coaches ask me all over the world. Hey, Germany, you have a big country with 81 million people, and you have not one man who's running the 100-meter faster than 10 seconds. How is this possible? So I think, so we have to face the phenomenon of the talent. What is a talent? And we have to focus our main work to develop talents in Germany, and the best way, and find the best way to bring them later on in a good performance. A talent is no more a young girl or boy that has excellent preconditions like athletic facilities, athletic body, anthropometrical facilities, technical movements, very good coordination movements, or a good physiology. That's a talent. Many of them are said to be the champions of the future. But what happens in reality? Many of them are not willing to work hard. They spoil their talent. And maybe you know, dear colleagues, maybe you know the sentence, the dictionary is the only place where success comes before work. We need hard work. We need hard motivation. We need the best support to develop a talent to a champion we want to make out of him. So in Germany, we try to sort the talents out, we sort them out and bring them in regional and federal courses, so-called cadres, where we give the talents special courses with well-experienced coaches, and we call it cadre work or cadre making. So it's divided into several levels. We have the club level, we have the federal level, step 2 and step 3. That's the federal level where the best of our talents are supported and get courses, so weekly, monthly, it's in training camps and something like this, training camps. That's a very individual system. But most important for young athlete is that the sports development is supported by the school situation. So we created in recent years elite school of sports with a so-called concentration of the dual system. That's a good cooperation between training and school subjects, and the time schedule is made in this way that there can be training made twice a day in combination with the school subjects, and so we hope in the future to make better results than we did. We know we do results. We are one of the top 5 or 6 track and field countries in the world, but we want to improve, and we try to find the best way. The basic is the club system. Surely that's the fundamentum of all. But we have our federations, we have our regional federations, we have our federal association who can support this way to develop our best talents. Experience shows, statistic shows, my own experience, I'm now 40 years coach, that we need, it takes, that's nearly a rule, 10,000 hours of training. That makes about 10 years to develop a talent to a champion, if the training will be done daily. 10 years. So maybe, Airnel, the next slide. And then we can see. Can you hear me? Ah, yeah, thank you. Well, in our track and field sport, we can, sorry, we can experience shows us that we have different stages of performing. Well, that's the youngest, where we start with bringing them to getting used to good training is 13 to 16 years. The second stage, 17 to 20 years. Stage 3, 21 to 24 years. But in our experience, and statistics says, worldwide statistic, that the so-called golden age for track and field events starts with 25 years plus, 25 years older. So that does not mean that we have an Olympic champion will be 22 years old, but that's an average, what we can see here on this slide. That's the average, that's experience, that's statistic. And so what we want to say, what I want you to show with this slide, that it needs patience. It needs a lot of patience to develop a talent from a beginner with good talent preconditions to a champion. You can't, if you need, a flower needs to get water constantly and not 5 liters a day. So we need time, we need patience. A pregnancy will last 9 months, not 4. So we need a lot of time and patience to develop. That's one of the main messages we give our coaches. Don't make too early. Don't make too early youth champions. That's a nice thing to have, but always have the look on the long-term development of the athletes. Airnel, next slide, please. Yeah. Well, the first stage, the 13 to 16 years, we want them to learn to train, to show them how to train. Well, we educate them in all parts of track and field, not only long jump or throwing or something like this. We want to show them all parts of track and field. We want to start with some physical education and to show them the basic technical things. Start as early as possible with the technical development and learn to handle. That's very important because there will be problems if you don't care for it. Handle school and sport. The time management between school and sport is really important. And speak with the parents, include the parents by working with those young athletes. And learn to work, start them to work with trust, discipline, and respect. That's not so-called soft skills. In my opinion, that's hardware, because we have to work with young people. We work with human beings, and we have to teach them how the society, how the relationship between people, in our society works in a good way. Well, and we look for the greatest potential of these young athletes, but not only track and field, not too early specialization, even we let them do other sports. For example, some basketball or soccer very famous in Germany, handball or gymnastics. And in this age of 13 to 16 years old, not too early specialization, that's the most focus. The next stage is the 17 to 20 years. We try to make them train to train. We educate them in techniques. They have to learn the basic techniques of all the different throwing, jumping, and running and sprinting events. And they need to develop the skills, explosive, explosive strength, for example, or some kind of endurance, the different ways to develop endurance, anaerobic, aerobic, lactate, alactate. We try slowly to show them how this works. And we start with a technical focus on strength, but most important is not to overload them with too much weights. Start, first of all, the technical way of strength training. Show them the right technique, the right way of the squats, or doesn't matter what kind of exercise you choose out. But first of all, if you start with strength training, start with a technical way of education. And at that age, at the older youth age, 17 to 20, understand basics in nutrition. Because if you see how they are, the fast food, McDonald's, well, okay, it's fine, it's nice, but for a sport-specific nutrition, that's shit, sorry. That's not a good nutrition, because we need, if they are training, they need to have a good nutrition according to and supporting the training in the way of leading a healthy life. Regeneration, you can support regeneration by a good food and not with bad fast food. And if we have a mixed training group, for example, older athletes can help to support those younger athletes. Airnel, next slide, please. Well, the 21 to 24, well, that's the age where we want, that's this stage where we want to make them compete, bringing them to the really good results. That does not mean, and they should be ready for international championships. That does not mean that we want to say no U20 or U18 championships. Well, why not? They can do this, but that's not the end of the goal. That's an interval. That's a step in between, but not that's what they want. We want to develop them to train, compete later on. And at this age, 21 to 24, best technique at the moment, high level of skills. They have to understand nutrition. They don't have to be taught in it. They have to understand the life balance. They have to understand that if Saturday is a hard training session, there is no disco at night. There has to be sleep to recover, to make regeneration on Saturday night and Sunday, to start Monday, the training week, with the highest body level they can. And learn focusing and developing the mental qualities. Dear colleagues, we all know, if we have a final where eight sprinters running the 100 meters, they all have the best physical qualities. They are all good in shape. Those athletes will make the medals with the best mental attitude. Those athletes will win with the best mental preconditions, who get focused to know what they are doing, who have the best head, as we say. And we try to improve with these young 21 to 24 athletes, year-old athletes, more and more, and teach them, maybe with the help. You're not alone as a coach, maybe with the help of some sport psychologists or some mental coaches, to make them really strong. The mental training is as much important as the strength training or endurance training. It's a very important tool for developing the best performance of the athletes. Well, the next slide, Airnel. Well, the top athlete, 21 years plus. Well, so at this age, we have a normally, well, we train in groups. It depends. Some groups are small, some groups are big, some some groups are mixed with younger and older athletes. But if you work with athletes 25 years plus, the work should be focused on the best individual concept you find for the athlete. You know very exactly what is good for the athlete, which stimulus he needs, and which stimulus that does work, gives no response to the athlete. So the individual concept is the most important if you're working with adult and experienced athletes to make them better. And the coach gets more and more with younger athletes, the coach is a kind of substitute as a father, or he plays a lot of roles. But with 25 plus, the coach gets more and more a consultant and a mentor to accompany the athlete on his way to the top, and teach the athlete achieve the best results when it counts. That are the top competitions. That are the most important competition, not a small competition. Wow, I run best time, I'm great. No, he's not great. She's not great. She's then great when she makes the medal, when she gives her best yearly performance at the top competition. That's what we want to focus on it, and that's how we try to educate our athletes. And top athletes should always know that they have a kind of a role model. They are an example for kids looking up to the athletes. That's important. They always should know about, should have knowledge, which responsibility they have, which self-responsible they have as as athletes, as experienced athletes to young athletes. Well, and that's the way we work with athletes in very close sentences, in very small ways. Maybe before we have a break, Airnel, the next slide where we give a kind of overview for the coaches' education in Germany. Well, we have 3 levels. We have the C, the B, and the A level. Well, the C level is the coaches' qualifications for the younger athletes. The B level for regional developed athletes, and the A level is the level for national standard athlete and with international perspective. The highest qualification we have in Germany is the so-called diploma level, and those colleagues who have the diploma level are mostly working full-time, and they get employed by federations, by regional federations, or at the German Federal Association, and well, the payment comes close to that of teachers. I don't know how the teachers are in. I know in the United States they get paid like college professors. I don't know really, but it's a good thing to. It's a good economic basic to work as a coach. Well. And in Germany, we have the so-called National DLV Coaches Academy in Mainz. It's a town near Frankfurt. And we have ongoing coaches courses for education and for further education. So that means all the levels, A, B, and diploma levels, have to come in some intervals, maybe yearly or every 2 years, for a weekend, for 2 weekends, to get the newest informations, to get the newest standard of training science and other disciplines, to establish their level, their coaches level they have achieved. And since many years, we have in Mainz, the Academy for Foreign Coaches. That's a worldwide academy where applicants are getting the education to get a good education as a coach, to get home to their home countries and work as coaches there. So, colleagues, this was for a short part overview, and if it's okay for you, and in the schedule, and they'll send to me, I would then have a short break. Is it okay for you?
Yes, Coach Rudiger. In fact, after this part one, I'll be asking Coach Airnel for his initial thoughts about your talk. And Airnel later on will also facilitate our short question and answer. I'm just gonna remove the presentation.
Yes.
All
Okay.
right.
Go on. Yes, Coach Nolly, continue.
Coach
Sorry.
Airnel, please, your thoughts initially about the presentation of Coach Rudiger.
Okay, thank you, Coach Nolly. I already prepared some slides. I will show them now. One moment. Where's that? Okay, in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so far, I already prepared. One moment. Anyway, it's not where. So, okay, regarding the system, of important to have a strong base, the grassroots level, and at the same time, the level, if you notice, the system in Germany is very developmental, meaning there is a stage, there's a system, there's a regulation, and at the same time, there's a structure, how things are done. I believe important here is the involvement of the base, involvement of the club system, club members, the organization, in order to have the strong base, in order to have up to the elite level. And at the same time, the continuing education of coaches is very important. As you notice what Rudiger said earlier, there is an academy of coaches. There's an academy of coaches in Mainz, which is where coaches can do continuing education, which is very important nowadays to continue the learning process. The things that we learn way back many years ago will have an impact towards the development of athletes. So we need to change and we need to improve. We need to fill up our base, our knowledge system in order to be better because times are changing. Like I said, the digital age is also a concern for most of our athletes. How the lifestyle of our youth is also changing and the discipline as well is changing, but at the same time also affirm to our principles. So I think that would be all for me, Coach Nod.
Nel, before we break out into small groups, are there any similarities between the Philippine setup and the setup in Germany? What are the important similarities or differences?
Okay, I think the best similarity is on the concept of volunteer coaches. I think most of our coaches in the athletics are working in the grassroots level as volunteers. Unfortunately, most of them are not having good socio-economic backgrounds or yung iba nga, libre lang or TY lang. Or kapag may laro lang or if there's a game, that's the time that they get paid. And I think this is also true for most of our coaches. Most of them are hardworking. But, of course, we follow this like the United States model, which is the school-based system. But I think that is the quite difference. But the similarity is the hard work of our coaches. And I think that's the only thing that we can relate on the situation here in the Philippines. Yeah.
All right. I've been aware of the challenges we have, and I've been seeing it. A lot of our places don't even have a standard oval to practice. And I think isa to sa pwede natin. This is one of the things that we can talk about in our breakout rooms session. And this is the groupings. For the groups and facilitators, there are 10 groups today with 9 to 10 members per group. For group number 1, we have coaches Koy and Gian. Group number 2, Coach Airnel. Group number 3, Coach Will. Group 4, Coach Tolitz. Group 5, Coach Oliver. Group 6, Coach Heidi. Group 7, co-facilitators, Coach Ashley and Mary. Group number 8, Coach Belay. Group number 9, Coach Rico. And group number 10, Coach Stax. This would be the 2 questions for our breakouts. how can we help promote sports like athletics to our community? And Rudiger, unlike Germany, and this is one of the big this, difference between your country and ours, athletics is really considered one of the minor sports. And based on what you've heard from the initial sharing of Coach Rudiger, how can we help promote sports like athletics, like chess, like table tennis? I'm not just speaking about athletics now, but the other sports outside the ball sports. How can we help promote it in our community? Not only in our school, but also outside the school. And then number 2, what are the best strategies to create club-based sports programs in our communities? Rudiger was very clear in saying it. The Philippines follow the US system, which is school-based, unlike in Germany and many European countries where they follow club-based. By doing that, it's easier to move athletes when they develop. It's easy to move him from one age group to another. So the question number 2 is asking everyone, both athletes and coaches, ano yung pwede nating magawa para mas ma-promote natin lalo ang club-based sports programs in our communities. Our facilitators have the questions in hand, so they will be able to remind you if you forget the questions. So you have 15 minutes total for the entire discussion. And after that, we will be coming back to the main forum. Thumbs up, everyone, if you are ready. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. All right. Enjoy the breakout rooms.
Okay. And then for the government, yung mga cities, mayors, mayroon naman sila mga sports program. Dapat i-include nila not only the ball games, but also the other sports.
Yeah. Right.
To promote everything, okay?
Yeah.
So sports for all.
Yeah. Thank you.
And then for the private, they have a great influence through money, no? Look, marami mga ball games na sumikat because they pouring monies on these ball games like basketball and volleyball because of the commercials. So sana hopefully these private sectors will also cater the other sports para sumikat din.
Yeah. Thank you, Coach Joseph. And maganda, this is also a good comment from Enzo Williams. We've always talked about having a standard oval, a rubberized track, but he also said about a rubberized track is not always needed to develop athletes. There are other ways to get workouts if you lack the facilities. This is where the art of coaching comes in, which is I'm happy because this is just the final question I have for Airnel. Airnel, when you were in the Philippines, you were intentionally bringing athletes and coaches to Europe to see what Europe has to offer. Bakit ganun yung approach mo? Why was that the approach?
Coach Nolly, sa akin kasi, I believe that in order to see what is good, you must bring it to the excellent form. The reason why I bring my athletes for the past 3 to 4 times in Czech Republic, in Germany, is for them to see what is the culture is. Even that they may not reach level. Of course, there are better, stronger, and faster athletes, but at least part of their lives, they will see what is excellence is all about. And I believe, as what Sir Vic said, and what do we really want? What is excellence is all about? So through this kind of sharing of this excellence is all about. So to become a champion, but be with an excellent and a champion community, so that you will have a better experience and better understanding how things are working, which can be bring to their lives. I will show you 1 second how it's. So 1 moment, Coach Nolly. Give me a few seconds. Share screen. Then okay. 1 moment. Okay, so this is how they're doing in Czech Republic. When I was there, so this is how they are doing things there, and this is one of the clubs. Why they're doing it? Because they love the sport and they believe that more events lead to better experience. Experience leads to excellence. By building the community, building the sport, we can bring excellence, not only by being champions, but one way or another to be better persons. That's all, Coach Nolly. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. And I remember one time, isa sa mga batang sinama mo sa Ostrava, that I think it was the time that Usain Bolt ran in Ostrava.
Yes.
And then Henry Dagmil, an Olympian for the Philippines, also was in Davao and he ran. And from my perspective, Henry Dagmil was running fast. He was really doing, Olympian. But then I remember that kid was saying, Coach, you should see Usain Bolt run. And I think ito yung point. When you see the excellence, the world excellence, you know the gap. I mean, don't get me wrong. Henry's a good friend of mine, and I have so much respect for him. But when the standard was really the number one runner, and I think ito po yung dahilan why, that's the reason why when we ask you to register, we ask who is the fastest person in the world. It's Usain Bolt, no? Because that was I remember that moment when our athlete who saw Usain Bolt run in Ostrava was not amazed when he saw a Philippine Olympian running, simply because he saw what excellence is all about. And again, this is the reason why we bring Coach Rudiger here, to also allow us to see more. This is my hope that every year, part of the Patafas effort could be not just bring the usual people outside the country, but bring perhaps the outstanding depth ed coaches and bring them outside. If Europe is too far, perhaps Singapore can be a good destination at the moment. Just let them see a standard where it's not always the Philippines. And this is my segue for the second part, because part of this last part of Coach Rudiger's talk would also be more of his advice to us. So, Coach Rudiger, I turn over to you the second part of your session. Silent round of applause for Coach Rudiger.
Yes. Ano ba siya?
Coach Rudiger?
Coach Nolly?
Yeah?
You're there?
Yeah.
Rudiger?
Yeah.
Okay.
Coach?
Wala ba siya?
Can we check with Coach Rudiger? Are we still? Yeah.
Okay, one moment.
Yeah, Coach Rudiger. So naka-mute siya. Sandali.
Okay.
All right. You're good.
It's okay?
All right, now we can.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
if everybody can understand me, say hello.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Well, it was very interesting for me to hear the specific circumstances and the problems and the special structure in your country. I think it's really quite different from Germany. I've been to many Asian states. I've been to Vietnam, I've been to Indonesia, to Korea, to Japan, to China, as with big competitions and even for coaches education. And I learned, I always have to learn how does it, the special facilities in the specific countries. And so what I am speaking about is my experience for you as a coaches. And Airnel asked me to speak about my coaching philosophy. Well, I can speak about my coaching philosophy maybe for 1 day or 2 days, and so it's for some minutes. It's really hard to, a little bit difficult to give the main informations. But so I try it with some words. And first message I want to give you, dear colleagues, is to be a coach is not a job, it's a passion. It doesn't matter in which structure you work. If you want to be a successful coach, be a passionate coach. Because when when I speak with younger coaches in Germany at competition, or if I tell them, hey, I want to call you on Monday, and no, Monday I have free, I have rest. And what about Tuesday? I have rest too, because I had competition on Saturday and Sunday. So if these coaches, sometimes I tell them, hey, look for another job. If you're a coach, you have to work 24/7. You're always a coach. You're not working in a company or something like this. You're a coach. You have worked with human beings, and you have always spent your time to your athletes. Otherwise, look for another job. Well, there are some main competence and qualities a coach should have. Maybe that's not something new for me, but sometimes we forget this. A coach should always be not a 100% specialist, but he should always know basic knowledge regarding training science, biomechanics, physiology, psychology, anatomy. You have to understand some theoretical basics because you work with athletes. The athletes have a biological system, and if you train them, you have to understand how the biological system works. I think that's a precondition for you as a coach. And you need some information about management, how to manage your life, how to manage the athlete's life, and how to manage the training process. And be always aware of your responsibility, because the athlete gives you the best time of his lifetime. It's about 10 years where he has the best, highest level of performance, and she relies on you that you make the best out of it. So always be aware of your responsibility you have when you work as a coach. Show always credibility. Be free of any contradictions. You are the navigator of the training and competition process. You are the architecture. You are the architecture of performance. Well, we have the development in Germany, Europe, that some managers want to give us advice how to rule the training competition process. Forget it. You're the head. You're the head of the coach is the head of the training competition process, always. And help with the personality development of the athlete, because if you educate the athletes to maturity and self-responsibility, we will have better results, because only an self-confident and a self-responsible athlete is able, if he is alone in the stadium with 80,000 people, there is not a coach 1 meter beside him, you can advise him. No, he's alone. And you have to give him to educate to such a high level of self-responsibility and maturity to do this in the best way. And show respect and caution towards the athlete. That's always a process, an interdependent process, education of coach and athlete. You educate the athlete, but the athlete educates the coach too. And so it's always, it's not a one-way street. There's always a very important process of both. You learn as a coach, I always learn from big athletes, because if they want to get big athletes, they are big people with good characters. They are very specific. They are charismatic people. And so you have to learn from each other, and think that's an important information. Next slide, Airnel. Airnel, you're listening to me?
He might have, I think, Airnel.
It doesn't work?
Yeah, the internet connection.
It froze, yeah, bad connection.
Okay.
Yeah. You can proceed, Rudiger. I'm sure Airnel.
Okay, I can proceed. Well, as a coach, when I speak about the main competence and the qualities, you have to show a constant willingness for dialogue with the athletes. Not only rule and from the top down, show empathy. Try to figure out and try to understand how the athlete works, how the athlete's thinking, how the way he feels, he understands, he learns. Try to find out his strengths and weaknesses, because you have not only to develop the weaknesses, you always have to develop even the strength, and it will help you to understand. It will help you to understand the athlete better if you know how he's thinking, if you know how he's feeling, if you know how he reacts to your input that you give him as a coach. And one advice, especially to younger athletes, to younger coaches, learn from experienced coaches. Not everything is true what they say, but they have a lot of experience and they have something to say. And if I reflect to my own work, look outside the box. Don't look just what other coaches do. Look for great people in our society. Look for people who have a good autobiography. Read books about big people who have a big standard in the world. There is something they have done and they have a good standing in the world, and that's a reason why. Learn from people. Learn not only, don't just focus on sports. Just have an outside look. Look outside the box and get your information from big people who influenced the societies and the life. And dare to try new things. Don't always say, hey, I'm now 20 years coach. I know how things work. I know I had a lot of success. Don't tell me something new. No, time goes on. There are new, there's new experience, there's new science, there are new ways in medicine, there are new ways in technical movement. If you're working with athletes, it's always a kind of adventure, because you have to try for new things. You have, if you work with athletes, many years, you will see that sometimes the stimulus you give shows no more reaction. You have to put in new stimuli. You have to find new training programs. You have to change your, some inputs. Not the same exercises, other loads, other regenerations, other peaks, other periodization. You can always be, you have to have the standard that, oh, I did it 20 years, so to year 21, I will have the same success. Well, I have spoke to many athletes who finished their career and who told me, hey, sometimes I might have been a better athlete, but sometimes I did not understand. I did not understand what the coach really meant. So always check what you're saying, what is your output, and what is the input of the athlete. Is this the same frequency? Does the athlete really get what you want to say? Is it 100% your information you give? Does it have 100% response to the athlete? I think you always have to check if this is, if that does work in the optimum way. So find out if your athlete, what kind of competition type is he? Is she? Is he anxious? Is he aggressive? Is he self-confident? Find out how the character of the athlete is and give the specific inputs to this specific variation of his character. One more rule, be a networker. Only a team, a competence team, will make sure that you have success. In my competence team, I have a doctor, a physiotherapist, a biomechanics, a psychologist, athletic coach for special athletic exercises. So be a networker, but be a networker with the best you can get. If you want to achieve best results, take the best, you can get it. And sort them out, check them, and always have an interaction to them. There's an ongoing communication, an ongoing interaction that guarantees success. Well, if we don't have, we cannot see the slides. I give you, track and field is an individual sport, but we have some relays, 4x1 or 4x4 relays, so that are small teams. So even in track and field, we have some kind of team building, and team building does have other rules than we do it with individual work. So for me, when I coach, I was coaching very successful 4x1 teams, I always had the kind of pyramid with some basic qualities that influence successful team building: respect, faith, discipline. That's a basic. That's the bottom. Communication and emotion, the next step. Communication is a yearly process, is a daily process. There is always communication, non-verbal and verbal. Even if you drive with an athlete 3 hours in the car to a competition, there is communication if you don't speak a word with him. There is always communication. Be aware of the social interdependence from coach to athletes. If you have the communications, figure out what kind. It's communication from coach to athlete, communication in small groups, communication to the big group. That's not always the same point of time where communication is the right thing you check. So sometimes you have to find out, now it's better to speak with one athlete about a special problem they have. We never speak about this in a big group. It depends, but always be aware, always take care for communications. And give the team a clear goal orientation, but not only once a month, maybe every week, every day. That's our goal we want to achieve. What do you do? Let me give an example. If the 100-meter final is at the 26th, let me say 26th of August, send the athletes emails every week. What will you do at the 26th of August this year? You will reach the final. Support his confidence. Always clear goal orientation for the athletes. And it will help you to fulfill the expectations you have and your team will have. Motivate and inspire them. You may say that's the same. That's not the same. There's a difference between motivation and inspiration. That's a different. If I motivate an athlete, I will tell him, hey, in the warm-up area, hey, you're good, you look good, technical is good, you're strong, you look good, so we will have a good competition. Go inside the stadium and you will make a good competition. That's, you can hear me?
Yes, Rudiger, Airnel is back.
That's
next slide.
I speak about motivation and inspiration. That's the next slide.
Next slide.
Airnel, because I'm looking.
Sorry.
We are in time. So I spoke about the motivation. I say there's a difference to inspiration. Motivation is, let me repeat it. Hey, you're good. You will make it. You will do it. You're great. You look good. So go in and compete. That's motivation. Inspiration is a step higher. If I want to inspire the same athlete, I will tell him or her. Even with work with women, they are able to work with more imagination. and tell them, hey, you go now into the stadium and think of it, how it feels to stand after the competition on the podium, how the ceremony, the winning ceremony, how it feels to get the medal around your neck. That's a kind of inspiration. And you always have to choose how the athlete, what is the best for the athlete. Some are rational types, they are analytic types, and some are emotional types. Find out what athletes you have and find the correct speech. As a coach, you should play, you have to play all the rules, all the sounds, because you work with athletes, with human beings, and always believe in success. That's most important. Believe daily in your success with the athlete and your team, because we all know doubters never win and winners never doubt. That's the rule. For all successful teams, for all successful athletes. And the advice for coaches I can give, a colleague of mine said it in the best words, I can do it better. I cannot do this better. The most important factor in coaching is to be yourself. A lot of coaches try to copy other coaches or other programs. There's a lot of discussion on whether a coach should be scientific or whether one coach should coach as if it's an art. Every coach should find a personal way of coaching, the way that is best for oneself. Because, first of all, coaching is the art of communication. And I think this is some words, the best advice I can give as an overhead to young coaches to become successful coaches. Well, let me come to the end, and I know coaches, next slide, advice, Airnel. Well, coaching calls upon many skills that are gained by the combination of experience and knowledge. But take care of too much overload by internet. There is, even with older coaches, I see it. Young coach, well, they're looking to internet and they are looking to new exercises. Well, and they bring it in the training and always new. But take care of it. Always know that experience and knowledge is the most important thing. Be open to everything the internet shows you, but be a little bit critical. Dare new things, surely. You have to do this, but be always critical by too much overload by internet. Well, some of the knowledge can be learned on coaching courses. It's necessary for you to understand basic things, to understand theoretical things. But it means little without practical application with the coaching process. And novice coaches can benefit from regularly working alongside an experienced mentor coach. No one is born as a coach. And the way is long to get an experienced and successful coach. But always remember, coaching is passion, fire and emotion, and it's not just a job. Thank you so far, dear colleagues.
Let's give Coach Rudiger a big silent round of applause. Nell, we can please, thank you. Just like to read some comments from Coach Belay. Sometimes it's hard to rely on different institutions, organizations to get moving for the sports. Yes, we should involve the LGU, barangays, etc. but we can also educate how to properly start clubs and engage the community. I agree. And when you do this, you have a built-in fan base for the club. I think this is true, especially for team sports, and more so especially for the athletics. I think I also saw Big Africa saying coaches should not only have technical knowledge of the sport, they should also have a discipline-based knowledge. Agree. And Coach Rudiger mentioned earlier and this struck me. He mentioned about part of growing is really read books about big people who have high standards about life, about how things should be done. And that novice coaches can learn much from an experienced mentor coach. These ideas are very timely for our second reactor, Stack Savellano, who has really, this is all about learning. And Stacks, you are the performance coach of this new group in Mindanao, running out of poverty. Coach, and I've seen you here, Stacks. You have been learning so much from Coach Tony Benson, a former program director of the Gintong Alay program of the Philippines. Perhaps one of the, if not one of the few successful programs in sports that we did as a country. Stacks, can you share your thoughts about it? Gaano kahalaga ang matuto sa mas nakakaalam, yung dinadala ka. I remember Coach Tony mentioning this, and this has bothered a lot of young coaches. Only an Olympian can best bring someone to the Olympics. Stacks, your thoughts? Nakamute ka, Stacks, no?
Can you hear me, Coach?
Yes.
Tony, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Coach, regarding my piggybacking with Coach Tony, the first thing that I really appreciate from him is that he first hit me in the mind, sa utak. Sabi niya,
Coach, can you brief background Tony Benson? Sino po ba siya?
Okay. Yeah. Tony Benson is an Olympian in 1972. He was the number 5,000K runner. Then in 1992, he was the head coach of the Australian track and field. But in 1979 to 1981, he was the head coach of Gintong Alay, no, together with Michael Kion. During the time that Coach Benson was the coach of the Gintong Alay, the Philippines was the last in Southeast Asian Games. In that small span of time, the Philippines became the number 1. Courtesy of Legia de Vega, Hector Bigueyo, El Mamuro, Renato Del Prado. Then, from number 26 in Asia, the Philippines became number 6. Courtesy of the gold medal of 100 meters of Legia de Vega. So, Coach Tony Benson really brings up, no, the level of mindset for coaches and for athletes that he coaches. For example lang, si Hector Bigueyo was a 3-time Olympian. He is the only Filipino athletic steeplechase 3,000 meters that went all the way to the semifinals. And at that time in 1988 Seoul Games, he was the only Asian semifinalist. So, and Hector Bigueyo came from a very poor family in Mountain Province. Coach Tony Benson really telling us, no, na any Filipino can be an Olympian, Stacks. Any Filipino can be an Olympian. To do it, I don't really know until he brought me one time in Langob, in a barangay here in Davao, in Langob. Just a follow-up to Enzo Williams. Sabi Enzo Williams, you don't need a truck that is rubberized. Sabi niya sa akin, si Coach Tony, sabi niya, Stacks, in this particular mountainous area, you can develop an Olympian. The question is the coach and the athlete willing to bring you there? Kasi kung titingnan mo yung pinakita kanina ni Coach Rudiger, it's a long-term athlete development from 13 years old up to 24 years old. Is a coach willing to bring an athlete for 11 years until the time he will become a high-level Olympian? Is the athlete also willing to be trained every day? Yun yung consistency sinasabi, every day. 10,000 hours. I heard that from you, Coach Snowly. 10,000 hours, outliers, no? Is the coach and the athlete willing to work together for 11 days to develop somebody who will be an Olympian. Yun ang napakahirap hanapin. Napakahirap hanapin. No? Sa coach, I don't know, it can be developed, but for athlete and coach, kaya si Michael Phelps nga, for the rest of his career, for more than 20 years, isa lang ang coach niya. Because they work every day for 6 hours. Every day for 6 hours with only one coach. What happens sa Philippine setting? Once you develop an athlete, somebody will take it. No? And somebody will take it. And the national program of the government is to bring that athlete, itapon dun sa coach outside. So what happened to the development of the athlete? Hindi niya alam what's the process. I think that's all, Coach Tony. No, it's really hard to develop unless the coach and the athletes are willing to work for 11 years, and that's very difficult to find. Gintong Alay was very, very successful. You know why? Because athletes were developed in one area with a very high competitive coach. Sabi niya, you are no different from a Kenyan. You are no different from an Australian. You can become an Olympian. Why? Because we train consistently every day. And one thing that I encircled here, yung 21 to 24 years old, no? Sabi pa dito ni Coach Rudiger, an athlete should be ready for international championships. Coaches like Tony Benson, our mindsetting is athlete, na kahit ang katabi mo, malaki sa'yo, matangkad sa'yo, what happened? International races, panalo na tayo, pa tayo natatalo because we chicken out. Nawawala, bumabalik yung pagka-smallness ng mindset natin. I think that's very important. Umpisa pa lang dapat, when we go to the international league, ang mindset natin, we are big time. Nawawala. Natatakot. In that international stage, the pressure was very, very big. In basketball, free throw na lang, panalo na tayo eh. But the pressure of in the big league, we are, tama si last na lang ito, Coach Tony, Coach Noli, 1 minute lang. If you read back the article of Nick Joaquin, A Heritage of Smallness, nandun lahat yung rooted for us to play it small, not play it big. To play it big, really, ilabas, it's really something that you have to take out from you, na you're a big time, you're a big athlete, no? You can do it international. So it's very difficult because the term really that Coach Rudiger showed us during the first session was a long-term athlete development. From 13 years old, no, learn to train pa lang. In 2 years' time, the athlete is already gone. Nawala na. Nag-aral na sa ibang school. Nakuha na ng school na nagbibigay ng scholarships. For whatever reason, lumipat ng coach. Kasi yung nanay, mas gusto yung coach na ito kasi mas, the process is there eh. So, for me, no, unless we can find a coach that's really, sabi nga ni Coach Rudiger, it's a passion, that passionate enough to give 11 years of his time, no? An athlete who is passionate enough to be trained every day for 11 years, we can never develop a high-level athlete. We can never develop a high-level athlete. That's why Gintong Alay was very successful because the government, no, a coach that is a high level, they brought it inside. Then athletes were really trained every day, mindsetting every day that you can do it, no, to get side by side with anybody. There's no difference between a Filipino and a Caucasian. Sa atin lang, pag natabihan tayo ng matangkad, iba yung kulay, nag-chicken out na tayo eh. Even in swimming. Pag natabihan ka ng matangkad, nawawala yung yung pagkaagila natin. I think yun din, no? Sa umpisa pa lang dapat mawala sa atin yung smallness mentality, yung small mentality. So, yun lang siguro, no? Yun lang siguro. We started it in Davao, yung run out of poverty. In fact, yung run out of poverty, Coach Tony, before, when we are starting 4 years ago, mayroon siyang dinadagdag, no? Run out of poverty, gintong muli, no? Gintong muli. We bring back the system that we had in Gintong Alay. Gintong Alay, for the purpose for the understanding of Coach Rudiger, it's gold offering, no? Gintong Alay, it's a gold offering. A program before by the late Ferdinand Marcos. Hindi masyadong bureaucratic, no? everything. If there's something that we need, only Michael Pion can tell. Bilhin yan, kailangan yan. If we need something, some training tools, hindi dadaan ng bureaucracia, hindi dadaan. Napakabilis ng desisyon. Nung sinabi niya, kailangan ko si Coach Tony from Australia, immediately wala nang approve ng isang commissioner. Nadala niya agad. So I think that's one thing that's really detrimental for athletics dito sa Pilipinas. Napakahirap. And secondly, athletics is not a popular sports dito. Kaya napakahirap gumawa ng club. Nung nakita ko 700 clubs, there are 700 clubs in Germany.
7,000.
Sorry, 7,000 with 81 million population. We have 120 million population. Run out of poverty when we started running in Blue Knights. Kami lang ho yung club na hindi school team ang ginamit, hindi pangalan ng eskwela ang ginamit, hindi pangalan ng LGU ang ginamit. Ang ginamit, ano yan? Run out of poverty. Saling pusa pa nga ngayong araw, wala kami mga sapatos eh. Nakakaiyak na minsan because the kids, nung nakita nila yung rubber rice, ginawa nilang kama. Sabi niya, ang lambot, coach, ang lambot. So, I think how to popularize athletics in the Philippines. I don't know how to do it. We started doing it, but it's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. Even going to the barangay kapitan, even going to the principal of the school, their priority is education. Sabi niya, no. We cannot lend you our kids at 4 o'clock to run. They have still PE. Ganyan. So, it's very difficult to get the support of the school, to get the support of the barangay. And there's a technical man, walang bayad, no? An Olympian willing to give everything he has. Sometimes we buy shoes. Kami, gastos namin minsan para lang makatakbo yung mga bata. Coach Airnel also is giving shoes eh. Kaya natutuwa kami pag sumasali kami sa Blue Knights, no? Mayroon kami mga shoes na panulunan. So it's very difficult. It's not readily accepted. Kaya isa yun sa challenge natin, no? In clubs, yung LGU, secondly yung school. That's why diretso kami sa mga parents ng bata. No, can you bring your kids? Can you lend your kids after 5 o'clock pag alis na lang? Kaya ginagabi kami, gabing-gabi na kami minsan, tumatakbo kami, no? Sa oval ng mga elementary school. Hindi namin alam kung ano yung natatapakan namin, no? So that's how difficult it is really to develop athletics.
Thank you, Coach Tax. No? Thank you very much for again, run out of poverty is one of those examples that I saw really that has stopped the experience of a seasoned coach who used to be an athlete and is trying its best to create a club culture in the community. And again, creating a club in the Philippines is really, really very difficult. I'm going to turn over to Coach Airnel. Just 2 questions to Coach Rudiger based on what we've heard, what you've heard. 2 questions we can ask from Coach Rudiger before we have our final wrap up.
Okay, Coach Noli. So, of course, I believe but of course, if you have, ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions, like 1 or 2, please type it on the chat box. So thank you, Coach Rudiger, for extending your time with us. I believe what Coach Tack said earlier, it's really bringing out the best out of the athletes, making our structures really work for us well. I believe that it's through constant collaboration, by not leaving one person behind or one group behind, and making each of us working together by bringing more athletics events, not only palaro, not only regional, not only city, but I was in Ostrava, when I was in Mannheim, when I was in different places in Germany, I saw that the community is building events. I remember one time, Michael German, the assistant of the vice director of MTG Mannheim, told me that there is an event in Heidelberg. We went there. When we were in, I think in we saw another event. So for like 2 weeks, we were able to see 2 events in Germany. So that's why it's very important to have this kind of ideas. Okay. Yes. Okay, sorry. Question. So to continue, I believe, other comments. Okay, so question. Coach Rudiger, what can we still do to make things better in our current situation now for athletics. Yeah.
To make things better in the current situation in your country or in Germany?
I think in overall now, what do you do now there in Germany?
Well, we see a development of international training groups. I think if we spoke about USA. In the USA, we have the college system, but that's the full truth. That's not the full truth. We know that there are the best coaches have some athletes from all over the world, and they collect them, and they're training together in big international training group. And in my experience is to help even countries for development. I said I was 3 weeks, 1.5 years ago, I was 3 weeks in Vietnam. They asked me to support the coaches to give advice in sprint and hurdles and long jump and something like this. But I always said, hey, if I come to you for 1 or 2 weeks and show you how you to train and how you deal with your athletes, that's only a spot. That's not an ongoing situation. Come to our country if it's possible. Come to our country and learn like Airnel did. Airnel did come to Germany and he watched people and he said, now he knows some knowledge about the clubs in Germany. I think that's we have to go to the countries where they work, and we have to go to those foreign countries and give support. But everything depends on the financial things. That's the money the governments give for the development of sports. They invited me again to come to Vietnam, but there was no money. And so that's the thing. Sports needs more money in the own countries and for foreign countries. And the international development can grow together if there is a more everything in political, in economy ways goes together. But the sports, the working together in the sports community, there has to spend much more money from the given by the governments. I think so we can have better results and have more participants in Olympic Games.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
Yeah.
Yes, Coach Noli, continue. Sorry.
Yeah. We are now in the last few minutes, and then I would just take this opportunity to have our final breakout rooms and just answer this question. And I think this is so that everybody would have a sense of you can digest what you have learned. Answer one of these two questions. What is the biggest lesson you got from the forum? That's the first question. Or you can answer the other one. What struck you in what our speaker and reactor said? Ano yung sinulat nyo? Just say it. Just share it to the group. This is very quick discussion, 3 minutes only. And then we're going back to the main group and have our closing session. Okay. Thumbs up if you're ready. Thumbs up. Final. Yeah.
Hi, Coach Air.
All right.
Yes.
Again, before we end this, I would like to say thank you to everyone who are able to participate with us, especially the regulars. Coach Britt, nakita ko. Gang, thank you. Vic, thank you very much. And our Coach Dindo, thank you very much. Drolly, thank you all the way from Ilagan. Isabella, thank you very much. Before I give the floor to Coach Rudiger for his final thoughts, allow me to just share some few reminders. In this, always we would remind everyone in this time of ECQ, especially na na-extend pa sa ibang bahagi ng Pilipinas, stay connected, stay relevant, stay significant. Do join us here in our last week of online forum. These are the schedule after today. We have Coach Christian Narciso, an Italian basketball coach, on May 13, again 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And the last speaker, the 21st speaker. So we have already hosted 21 online forums. By Friday, we have Coach Owen Southgate, an English football coach, to talk about instilling values, lifelong values through sports. I also like to plug Women in Sports. Every Fridays, Coach Heidi Ong, one of our facilitators earlier, is hosting a Zoom forum every 4 p.m. So please also support that. Same thing with Belay Fernando, one of our facilitators, every Thursday, Grow Her Game, every Thursday, 3 p.m. And again, special thanks to our online facilitators, Coach Belay, Coach Asley, Coach Rico, Coach Will, Coach Tolitz, Coach Gian, Coach Sandy, Coach O, and our guest facilitators today, Coach Heidi and Coach Airnel, Coach Stax, and Coach Koy. And I would always say this, pag natapos lahat na ito at magkita-kita tayo, shake hands tayo, yakap kung pwede, at sikapin natin mas maging mabuting tao at maayos na Pilipino. With that saying, I would like to ask everyone to please give a silent round of applause for Coach Rudiger. Coach Rudiger, your final message to all of us here, 80 plus, 90 plus earlier. Your final words, Coach.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for your participation. It was a great pleasure for me to take part in this forum. I learned a lot. Thank you.
And again, everyone, may I just ask for our class picture. So if you can put yourself in video mode. Video. And then 4 shots. 1, 2, smile. All right, that's the first. Second. 1, 2. And last. All right, final. 1, 2, 3. All right, again, special thanks also to Coach Edward Ko of the national team. Thank Coach Edward. Maraming salamat po. And to everyone who have been joining us since March 27 until today. So be safe, everyone. Thank you. Coach Rudiger, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you po. Thank you.
What's up, Leo?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
See you Wednesday.
Thank
See
you
you Wednesday.
po.
Facilitators, just briefly, just to say thank you.
Sa lahat ng mga
Coach
coaches.
Rudiger, stay with us for a while.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
God bless po.
Be safe. Be well.
Everyone.
Join us.
guys.
Safe po.
Saturday, mental wellness.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gang, maraming salamat.
Miss Gang, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you po.
Dave na ka?
Final.
All right.
Coach Noy, nanay pa rin ni EJ Obiena, si Jeanette Obiena. So, it's my coach.
Nandito rin. Yeah, good,
Oh,
good,
my
good.
God.
Yeah, nasa Italy siya, no? Nasabi mo nasa Italy?
EJ, but the mother is...
EJ is in Italy.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
Actually,
mother is here with us.
All right.
last week they will be having him on Zoom as well.
Yeah. Pasis, thank you very much again, and we would wait for your notes so that we could also share to Coach Rudiger. Coach Rudiger, we will also be sending you notes of your talk so that you can use it for future references.
Thanks a lot. Thank
Alright.
you.
So guys, maraming salamat. Belay, Coach Heidi, Koy, thank you very much. Stay safe. See you Wednesday, 3 p.m.
Okay.
Ingat, Coach
Bye,
Tolly.
Mary. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
See
Koy,
you,
maraming
see you.
salamat.
Ingat.
Heidi, thank you.
Ingat po mga boss.
Yes.